As world leaders try to stop the IS advance, a new American organisation is working to expose and shut off the group's funding networks. We'll speak to the head of that organisation in a moment, but first I'm joined by our defence correspondent Alistair Bunkall. And Alistair, we know it is an extremely well-funded organisation. Just how wealthy is it?
Yeah, very much so. And we talk and we examine possible military options to try and crush, as President Obama says, Islamic State. But actually, really, if you look at trying to cut off their funding, that will do half the job for you. As with any insurgency group, you never know exactly how much money they've got. You can't quantify it with any great degree of science, but various estimates have it between $1 million and $5 million a day that they're raking in. I mean, that in itself is very broad.
And where does that money come from?
Well, at the root of a lot of conflicts in the Middle East has been oil, and no less so in this instance. So these red bits here are roughly the areas controlled in Iraq and in Syria by Islamic State, and the flashing white blobs, if you like, are oil refineries. And there are around 10 oil refineries in Islamic State-controlled areas, and so that, as you would expect, earns an awful lot of money per day. Roughly 80,000 barrels produced, around $3 million a day from Iraq and Syria.
And what are they doing with that oil? Who's buying it?
So, two things you can do with it. A lot of it is smuggled over the border, particularly into Turkey. It's refined in a very crude manner into diesel, and basically, put it simply, it's sold very cheaply on the market, on the black market in Turkey. The other use for it, of course, is using it for your own means, to drive your own vehicles, to drive your own operation, to be basically self-sufficient. And if we're talking of self-sufficiency, wheat is the next one. IS is in 5 major Iraqi states. It controls, and this is according to the United Nations no less, 40% of the wheat grown.
And presumably, if you're controlling the food supplies there, you're also making local communities dependent on you.
Absolutely. So you're making sure that they need to come to you, they need to abide by your rules, they need to buy the wheat off you. It's a very clever tactic, and is one that has served Islamic State well.
They're also getting money from further afield. Who? Yeah,
look at this. This was produced back in June, OK? So this is effectively an annual report from Islamic State. As everything that they do is extremely professionally done. A flashy front cover, a graphic on the first page showing the various attacks they've carried out, suicide attacks, for example. Who is that for? It is for the regional donors that they might want to elicit money from. So it's basically saying, we are a professional outfit, you should support us. So Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, very wealthy individuals have been giving them cash, less so now, but a lot of these have a foreign policy that supports anyone who is fighting Bashar al-Assad, and weapons going to insurgency groups against the Syrian government find their way.
What about those very high-profile kidnappings, the ransom demands?
High profile, as you say. They capture the Western media attention. They do provide a lot of money, though, as well. There are groups, or there are countries that will pay ransoms. Not the UK, not the United States. They're very much against it. But David Cameron didn't quite spell it out, but was critical of some nations that do pay hostage payments. It does happen. It does earn money, particularly if you've got high-profile hostages.
And extortion as well is a factor here, isn't it?
It is. When you look at somewhere like Mosul, for example, one of the main towns in Iraq that Islamic State control, when they went in, they took around $425 million from the central bank, and this figure here, $8 million, was the money they were extorting from local businesses even before they controlled the full city.
What other activities are generating income for them?
Well, as you'd expect with any sort of criminal outfit, and that is essentially what they are: trafficking weapons, smuggling antiquities, counterfeit currencies, traditional war economy, if you like. It's a very broad revenue stream, and cutting it off will be difficult, but successful if done well.
OK. Alistair Bunkall, thanks very much indeed.